usually.
What the mask wears. He wears a zoot suit. Big yellow zoot suit.
Oh, the Jim. Yeah, okay. That is the perfect descriptor. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
Pimps. They wear zoot suits usually.
Whoa.
Pimps.
I believe they prefer the term
Entrepreneur.
sexual managers.
Sexual manager.
Wednesdays. Just trying to get by to the next fix. Living between Wednesdays. Prefer the comics over the Netflix. Living between Wednesdays.
It's a good day. It's an August day.
Yes.
August
12th. Wednesday, August 12th, or when these
Oh
hot
my
new comics
God.
are on the shelf.
I'm tired just thinking about the fact that summer's halfway over. Or August is halfway over. Summer's like 3/4 of the way through.
Where we got like it sprinkles into September. We always forget that. Kind of like how December isn't all winter. There's some fall in December. We always forget that.
Yeah. My first thought was, I gotta pay rent in half a month. But
July was a slog. August is zooming by.
blink.
Yeah. Don't know what's going on there. Don't know how time moves.
time means nothing in the COVID world.
It is a human construct.
Whenever I'm trying to recall when I did something that was like a few months before the lockdown, I always have to like add an extra 6 months onto it because these past 6 months have not felt like 6 months.
Well, the thing is, like, you usually use reference memory, right? Like, oh, that's the time I went to that one show or had that really nice hot dog from that one place. But like,
I haven't had any reference memories.
we don't have any
since
reference
March.
memory, so we're like, what year is it? Well, it's COVID, so 2020, I guess.
Also 2021.
It's
Maybe
year one
probably.
of the pandemic. Jason,
Yes.
what was your favorite comic?
My favorite comic is a trade.
That doesn't count.
Tell me about your trade.
It's a collection of trades. Well, first of all, if
It
you're,
does during COVID because the single issues got canceled. So
I
here
know.
we are.
Yeah.
I'm being.
If you're anything like me and you're a boy lost in time and you don't like anything that's new and you just want, when you're a boy, you're like, what's the Sci-Fi Channel? What's that all about? What's Twilight Zone? What are these 1950s terrible movies? What's Klaatu Baratu Niktu? What is
quote unquote old soul.
No, I'm just saying and everyone else is wrong. So, there's others like us, and they go by the name of Rahul and Bevins and Jerry and Mohan and Expedito.
I think you
Go ahead.
nailed all those.
Yeah, that's how I
pronunciations.
pronounce all those names. They have a Vault comic called Cult Classics. Apparently, there's more than one, but I'm gonna go check them out. But this one is called their Creature Feature, and if you're like 1950s the Creature features like the Blob and all that jazz, the Tingler, anything with Vincent Price in front of it, or that Renaissance in the 80s where they had like Night of the Creeps and the Blob remake and the Thing and all that jazz. They cram all of that into one actually pretty tightly wound comic called Cult Classics Creature Feature. There's aliens 65 million years ago. They drop something on Earth. It kills the dinosaurs. Radiation leaks into an ocean. leaks into a lake. A comet hits that lake, and like the big thing's awakened, and it's a big monster that sends slugs out, and there's zombies, and there's a radio host, and everyone uses ham radios, and it's at high school, and it's adorable.
Oh, actually, I read the first issue of this and I loved it.
It's really,
The
really,
colors are
really
beautiful.
good.
Yeah, this was great. Yeah, totally. The art is great. The pacing was wonderful. It is Elliot Rahal and John Bivens.
Good job.
This is the first 5 issues of that series.
Apparently it's a anthology. There's another one called Return to Whisper, which I'm assuming is the town, and a bunch of weird stuff happens in that town. The characters are three-dimensional in this. There's a bunch of death. I love
Sunnydale.
Sunnydale. That's it. I like the whole thing. If it suffers from anything, it's that like it wraps up a little too quickly, because that's how comics work sometimes. You have a knockout first issue, and then you have to write the rest of it. And you have to fit it in their 5 to 6 issue parameters, which is sometimes helpful. It kind of hones your skill, or sometimes it's a detriment because you have way more story to tell. But it doesn't hurt it really. It's awesome from beginning to end. It's hyper violent. It's really well illustrated. It's hyper nostalgic. Good job. But the thing I also want to talk about at the end, they have Stories of Whisper Town or something, and it's a different artist and a different writer, and it's just 2-page little spook anthologies, and I think that's adorable.
That's great.
So you won't get that out of the single issues. Go read this. and watch some kids get eaten by zombies, and then read 2 little spooky Tales from the Crypt or Twilight Zone-esque things.
Cult classic.
Chris,
Hi.
what comic blew your mind this week?
So I too will talk about a trade
Go for it, bro.
because I'm lame. No, this is the first time in a little while that Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, who are constantly collaborating.
Get a room, you two.
But there's a comic review. It's a weekly pool. We can't have a hardcover.
We talked about Pulp. Pulp came out
was
like
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was last week.
And-
How fast are they making books?
This is crazy. No, it was supposed to come out and then the pandemic happened, so I feel like these should have been spaced out a little bit more, but they weren't, and that's fine. Cruel Summer is quite a bit bigger than Pulp. This
Yes.
is a heft book, which is exciting for me. This is a crime drama. Some of the beats remind me a little bit of that Texas Blood
Okay.
issue 1. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
got kind of like a dusty, like I'm over it. This is my, I'm gonna retire soon. But more of like a gritty, big town investigator, less of like a sheriff thing.
Yeah.
But it's a bunch of people whose stories intersect. And I really, really like this. So it winds up being like a few different classic Brubaker Phillips collabs that fit into a bigger story. So it's crunchable in sections, which is helpful when it's something this big. Maybe it was planned for single issues. It reads kind of sequential.
Okay.
So I wonder if the initial release plan was that it was going to come out in single issues in like April and then be released in hardcover, but because of what happened with the industry and the world and the apocalypse, we get this hardcover instead, which is just fine for me because I binged it and it was delicious. I really, really recommend this for anyone who's looking for just like a straight up crime noir book. Usually what I find with their smaller stuff is that it's almost too small. It like wraps up in like what equates to like 4 issues. It sometimes isn't enough room for the characters to breathe. This gives me lots and lots of detail on the individuals through the eyes of other people, through their own monologues. I really, really liked it, and as always, Sean Phillips' art is like amazing. So if you think you like this collaborative team, or if you haven't read anything by them before and that's up your alley, I highly recommend it.
And they've only gotten better. Like as
Their
much
stories
as I've liked,
are so tight now.
as much as I've liked like Incognito and Sleeper, and I still think Sleeper might be one of their magnum
Fade
opuses,
Out.
and Fade Out and all this jazz.
Criminal.
Yeah, Criminal's great too. But like now, like they're just so precise and measured and calculated now. It's just like my God, like they could take books worth of emotional resonance and like cram it into.
Yeah, but I'm glad that they went this way. Usually it's this way. This is just a little bit up from that. It's not like a 12 trade magnum opus, but it is a little bit more.
He's been around forever. He's killed Captain America. Let him do whatever he wants now.
He does.
Yeah.
I can't imagine like when they decide to do a new book together. Like I'll be Ed and you be Sean. It's like, boop, boop, boop. Sean, I got a great idea for a book. Hear me out. It's a crime.
So
Like that's. I imagine that's roughly how it goes.
I don't think that. I think he just opens up his email and like there's just a script from Ed, and then he just starts illustrating it.
Number one this week, I'm going to talk about Big Girls by Jason Howard. I'm always excited when I see a title that is by one person. Obviously, every comic is a collective of people working together, but like one person on art and story. I just think it's cool to see a singular vision like that come together.
That's the Trees guy, right?
I don't.
I think so.
Yeah.
Trees, which trees?
The Warren Ellis trees were giant, like
I haven't read it.
like mile-high trees were shot. It's good.
Yeah.
But you'll never read it again because Warren Ellis.
So, Big Girls is, in short, what's it about? Excellent question as always, Jay. There's a weird thing that's called the mistake, that it's very clearly made that we're not going to dive
Science.
into whether it was nuclear war or what. Something went wrong, and there's something called like a mega organism now that infects male humans, and if they can be infected by age 3. If they make it past the age of 3, it seems like they're golden. But before the age 3, they can show symptoms of this, where basically they will turn into giant monsters that will destroy everything. And so some women, it seems, are also susceptible to this, but since their body doesn't completely accept it, they turn into giant
Humans.
Goliaths, but they retain their humanity, versus the men who are infected with it turn into big, pussy, bubbly monsters.
Is that kind of like the angels from, what was that show?
From Neon Genesis?
Neon Genesis, yeah.
Don't let Dylan hear you say that.
They kind of do.
But yeah, so because of monsters, humanity's left to like a little place they call the Preserve. That's like a gated, walled city. And when the monsters attack, that they call Jacks, they have the big girls fight to defend the Preserve. Jason, you pointed out its similarities to Attack on Titan.
It's similar to Attack on Titan. There's similar like structures, but I wouldn't say it's like
No, I think
a plagiarism of Attack.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think the premise of like there's giants attacking and humanity lives in a walled city.
We all live in this one
But,
preserve,
like,
they call it the Preserve.
If they go with like how that happened and the themes of stuff goes in the direction of Attack on Titan, I'm gonna be like, whoa, that's because Attack on Titan's fucking weird.
That's fair.
But I love it, but it's strange as all hell. But Big Girls, it's
good. It's fun.
Yeah.
I like the art's really cool.
I gotta be honest, I'm not in love with it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but I'm talking about it because it was. We had another one this week that I didn't like more.
I like kaijus with guns once in a while. Not all the time.
Yeah,
But
my question is like you see her like walking through the city. I want to see, do they have like paths set out for her? Because she's like the size of like several skyscrapers.
Yeah.
She's not like
Yeah.
the size of a big house. They're like big. And she's just like walking through the street on like a patrol. Do they have like footprints like set for her?
yeah, buildings come up to like her knees. So
Yeah,
she's massive.
So I'm like, I want like, how is she walking? Where do they
Where
have
does she
paths
go?
set up? If she steps on a road, the entire road needs to be rebuilt. It's going to be buckled under that.
Yeah.
Or it won't be, but like you can't drive there. So
Yeah.
like how exactly does it work?
How does the city planning around? That's what I want. I want to read a whole
How
comic.
do they make her clothing? It's a post-apocalyptic world. I'm sure resources are scarce.
Yeah, so there's lots of weird. I'm sure it's going to be rife with things like that. But overall, it was interesting. Like,
Suspend your disbelief. There's monsters.
yeah, and we got the monsters are also human, so she feels bad when they kill one because it's still also a human. And there's a macho guy in charge. Well, I'm gonna get
And
this job
people
done no
being
matter
like-
what. And I'm sure he has a soft side that we're gonna be
Yeah.
exposed to at some point.
And people being like, oh, but like I was researching and I was going to be able to solve. No, we tried that. We're done with that. We're just killing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Pro-
Definitely 3-issue rule.
I agree with that. I will give it props for having a baby shot in the forehead in the first issue.
Oh,
Yeah, but
yes.
he's a big baby.
It's a big baby, but it still
he's
looks like a
still-
human infant. So like,
Pretty intense.
yeah. If you're gonna like kill a kid in the first issue, you got my vote.
We going hard from like Wednesday to Wednesday.
Yeah, hey, pal, you got that one where Superman goes to Supertown? Yeah, I got that when it come out. I like the fourth world.